Hey everybody. Geez. Comments are not working yet again. Let me just open up my other box. I don't know why this is happening every week. I think I do know why, but it's not going to help me. Okay. So I'll be able to follow along with the comments. So if you have any comments, I'll answer them as I see them, hopefully. Hey, Do. My comments are not working again, so I'm just not too sure what the heck is going on. Alright. Hey, Do. I'm not sure why my comments don't work, but I have my iPad set up so I'll be able to see everybody and your comments. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. Tonight I am going to be creating this little box, and it actually measures, let's see, I didn't even measure it, about 5.5 by 5.5. Yeah, I did look in the settings too, and I'll look again, but let's see. I have it set, so I don't know what it is. Craziness. Drives me nuts every week. So it, like I said, it measures 5.5 by 5.5, and then each side of the box has a little drawer, as you can see, on each side. If you place an order of $35 before Monday, I didn't change the date. It should read, what, 23, 4, 5, 26. I'll send you the make and takes, everything other than, I'll send you all the paper other than the cardboard that I used for the top and the bottom. And you will also get 6x6 paper, a yard of ribbon, foam tape, tear and tape, some flowers, and a stamping spot. Okay, so hopefully the video's okay. I can see that it is not going with the iPad, so we'll see how it works. Okay, so to start the box, we have to make the base and the top. Now, I already did put the top together, just so I could save some time. But like I said, I have a piece of cardboard, which is 5.5 by 5.5. And the cardboard is actually the cardboard that we get with our designer series paper. So it's nice and sturdy. This one was actually with the gold foil sheet. So it's really nice and heavy. And then I cut a piece of cardstock in Early Espresso, and that's 7.5 by 7.5, because we want enough overhang that will have a nice edge. And then for the bottom of the box, I added a piece to cover it up. For the top, I'm going to leave it like this, because it will be sat down on the top of the box, and you will not even see the underside. So what we're going to do is grab some glue. And we're going to glue this together first. Let me just grab a good container of glue that has some actual glue in it. And we're going to prepare this piece. So what I'm doing is we got to do our corners first. And you want to fold this up and attach it and make a nice crease right by the cardboard on each side, and just make sure that stays nice and adhered. Okay, and we're going to do this to each corner the same way. When you fold your corner in, just get it so it's, pretty even. Get that little piece so you have a little bit of a fold, because the cardstock, Stampin' Up! Cardstock is nice and thick. So you want to just make sure that it's adhered to the cardboard really well. I moved the camera. Oh, how's that? Better? So we're just going to do that to each of the corners. So how has the weather been by everybody? It got really cold here. We had windows open one day and then heat on the next. So it's been crazy. I know we've seen some areas got snow. We didn't get snow, thank goodness. Okay, so we're going to get this last corner. Just like that. Make sure it's adhered. Hey, Peggy. Thank you, honey. How are you? Okay, so there's our corners. Now we want to fold up our sides. So we want to make, let me just grab my tearing tape. Pardon my hand. And I'm just going to add a piece of tearing tape to the end. So when I glue this down, it really does adhere well. And the way we're going to do this is I'm just going to pull the paper off this tape. And then we're going to put a line of glue right up against the cardboard and put a nice amount there. Not too much so it seeps out, but just enough. And then we're going to pick up this piece and push it against the table, pull it up, and come straight around just like that. And just make sure that tearing tape is down and that glue adheres. What we're doing right now is just creating the bottom of this little box. So we're just going to do it again. As you can see, I don't have any expensive little ruler, or I use the cap to my glue when I want to tear my tearing tape. I collect so many of them. Okay, so we're just going to run that glue right down the cardboard. Make sure we add enough. And we're going to do the same thing. Lift, hold it against the table, and rock it right around. And then when you turn it over, just make sure that is adhered. So we're going to do that now for every side. Let me just get this tearing tape down on each of these sides. Hopefully my camera won't go wacky tonight. So it's almost time. You had snow yesterday, but it didn't stay. Today was in the 50s. Everybody's going to be sick. It's crazy. It's cold in New York. Yeah, I had to turn the heat on today. I mean, and as you can see, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Usually I have short sleeves on. So, spring will get here one of these days. Okay, so here we go. That's side 3. And as you saw, my flower just popped right out. And then one more side. It's funny, I'm watching the comments on my iPad, and the video is lagging, so it's funny watching. I'm ahead of myself here. Okay, so here is the base of our little box. And like I said, then I have the top and the base. Actually, I like this one better, so we'll use that for the top. I'll use this one for the base. So I am just going to grab another piece of the early espresso, and I will have the PDF tomorrow, so don't worry about having to write down the measurements. But this is actually 5 by 5. And all I'm going to do is put some nice glue around. And this is just going to cover up the bottom of our little box and hide that cardboard. I'm just going to make sure this sticks really well. I was using tacky glue today, and I have to say the Tombow glue is much better. So like I said, so here's the bottom of the box, and that's what we just did. So now we have the base of our box, and we have the top of our box, and we're just going to put those aside for a few minutes. And what we have now is 4 little drawers. And I used Very Vanilla. And these pieces are 4 1/8 by 5. And I actually scored them at 1 inch on every side. And we're just going to fold and burnish. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Is it cold in Minnesota today? Okay, let me just grab my scissors. And we're just going to cut so the little bump is gone. And then we're just going to angle these tabs. Now I'm doing this on the shorter side, so when we fold it in and you open the drawer, we won't see the tabs on the side of the drawer. It'll be hidden at the back of the drawer. And you also, and I'll show you what I mean. So you see the tabs are here at the back, and then they're here at the front. So it's a nice clean drawer. You could even line the inside of the drawer, which would probably be really pretty too, with the same DSP as the outside of the box. I may still do that. Okay, so we're just going to get this side too. I'm cutting it, so I'm cutting out that little score bump and just angling the tabs a little bit so it fits nicely when we're going to create this little box. And I'm avoiding saying drawer because my husband was making fun of me. He said, oh, all the girls are going to say, what are you going to draw? And it's a drawer, a drawer, a drawer. New York. Okay, so we're going to add some tearing tape. And I'm just going to get it as close as I can to that score line. Let me just get this on my hand here. I'm just going to add this tape, like I said, as close as I can get to that score line. On each of these little tabs. And then we're going to create it. Now, for this piece, you're going to create 4 this size because there's 4 little drawers. So we're just going to, oops, fold this all together. That one has a little bump in it. Make sure that you line up your corner nicely. We're just going to attach these, making sure it's nice and straight. And then we'll just do this one more. And there's our little drawer. Okay? And we're going to, like I said, you're going to cut 4 of these pieces and you will have 4 little drawers. I did 3 of them ahead of time so you wouldn't have to sit here and watch me do each one because they all are exactly the same. Okay? So to decorate the drawer, I grabbed some soft suede and all I did was whatever side I thought I wanted for the front, I'm just going to distress the edges a little bit with the soft suede. And then the back corners, all I did was add a little bit to the corners, and I'll show you why in 1 second. Just these back corners. The only reason I did it was, and you can't really see it here, but if you push the drawer in too far, you'll see it right here. It's very hard to see, but believe me, that you can actually see the end of the drawer. So I thought I would darken it up a little bit, then this way you don't really notice it as much as if it was, oh, you had a beautiful day. I'm so glad, Kathy. Yep, that's Iggy, M. Okay, so here's the front of our drawer. Now this measures, like I said, we scored it at 1 inch, so it's 1 inch high, and this little drawer is 2 inches long. So I actually cut 4 brown pieces for a little front edge that measures 1 15/16 and 7/8. And this is going to be on the front of the drawer. But I needed a little pull. I didn't have any little knobs around, and I didn't really want to run to the store. So I have these little brads that are, they look like little bells. They don't ring, but they're little bell brads. And I thought it was perfect, as you can see on this box. It's just the perfect little size as a drawer, for a drawer pull. So all I'm going to do is grab my little piece of paper and just eyeballing it, seeing where about the middle of this piece is. And I'm just going to poke a little hole And then I'm just going to use the scissors to enlarge it just a little bit, because you can see the end of this brad is pretty wide. So we're just going to push it through the paper very carefully. And then we're just going to spread this open. And like I said, you can use any little brad or little pulls, even embellishments that are pretty, wide or thick, so you have a chance to grab a hold. And all I'm going to do is add some glue, making sure I get each of the edges really well. And then I'm just going to go around this brad because it does stick up a little bit. And we're just going to center this on the edge of this little drawer. And I'm going to have to hold it in place for a minute. Because like I said, the brad is actually a little thick. Oh, Iggy. Yeah, Peggy, we have our little crafting buddies. So Em was saying hi to Iggy. Hope everybody's doing good. Are you excited about the new catalog? Emma and I have been crafting with the new pansy set. Oh, it's so much fun. I'm doing a class to go with it. Let me see, I have it right. I have one of the cards right here. This is going to be one of the cards in my class to go. This set is just so pretty. So I'm looking forward to getting that going. Okay, so here we have all 4 of our drawers, all ready with the little bells on, glued, and ready to go. Now, these drawers need something to slide in and out of. So, using the same early espresso, we're going to make little drawer sleeves. And here's my ruler right here in front of my face. And this measures 7 5/8 by 3 1/8. And I scored it at 1 1/8, 3 1/4, 4 3/8, and 6 1/2. And what we're going to do is fold and burnish on all our score lines, just like that. And then on this one flap, we're going to add some glue. And then fold this down. Just like this. Make sure it sticks really good. And it's even. And this will be the little sleeve we can add our drawer. Now I will say, when you put your drawer in, here's the tab right here. Here's the edge. So put the drawer in so that edge is towards the bottom. You really will not see it, but you'll know it's there. So I created the rest of them. So we're just going to insert these. Did you get the pen, sweet? Did I get that one? I'm trying to think if I did get that one. Let's see what we have here. The card class is from the pansies. Ah, yes. Nope, that's not it. Is the pansy set. Ah, yes, the hand pen petals. This is actually a beautiful, beautiful set. The flowers will be fun to watercolor, I think would be beautiful, because the paper is pretty too. How about those embellishments? Aren't they gorgeous? So, oops, I have all my new stuff sitting rest of my things. Okay, so we're just going to get our drawers all set up and inside. So they're inside all of their sleeves. Just want to make sure I'm putting them all in the right way. Yes, it really is. It's beautiful. Okay, so now we have our little drawers. We're going to grab our piece, our bottom piece, okay, just like this. I just dropped my ruler, so hopefully we don't need it. And we're going to lay these pieces, making sure that we have them in the right direction and the drawers are facing the right way. And this is how it's going to be laid out. Excuse me. So there'll be a hole in the center, and you just want to make sure that when you lay everything out, that each little box, like on this end, it's even. The same with this. Pull it out and make sure it's even, just to get an idea of where we're going to have to glue this. Once we get the one box glued down, it'll be easy to follow all the way around. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to add enough glue, and I wanted the drawers in here so it gives it a little bit more of a sturdy base on the top. And we are going to glue this down just like that. I just want to, where we do have a few seconds to move it around, I just want to make sure I have enough space. And that looks good. So now that we have our first piece down, and I'm just going to pull this drawer out for a second. Make sure it is really glued down in place. So there is our first little section. Okay. And then we're going to, so you can see the drawer is opening this way. So this one is going to open to the right. And we're going to do the same thing. Make sure you add enough glue. Line it up with the edge of this box, making sure it's straight. And that looks good. And again, I'm just going to carefully pull that out. Make sure it's adhered to the bottom. Wouldn't this be so cute on a dresser for your rings or your earrings? Okay, so now the next draw pull is going to pull out this way. So we're going to line this up here. Oops. Let's get that glue off. Let's line it up. And again, we want to make sure it's lined up. Give it a couple seconds to adhere. Oopsie. Just want to get this out. Because this glue is great because it dries quick, but it dries slow enough that it'll give you a few minutes to make sure it's in place right so you can move it. Okay, so that's 3. There we go. And then we're going to put number 4. Just going to make sure we got it the right way. This is going to be our last piece here. Add that glue. And now we have to line it up here and over here so it's even. Okay. So now that that is all in place, we got all our pieces, we're going to add the top. Now for the top, you're just going to have to eyeball it to make sure that it fits and it's even with the bottom piece. Now instead of putting glue on the top piece, I'm going to put the glue on the top of each of these boxes. This way I will know that each box is glued to this piece, and then it'll also give me a chance to take those drawers out and push to make sure it's adhered really well. So I'm just going to stand up so I can eyeball that the top layer and the bottom layer are pretty even. And I think that looks pretty good. So while it's going to set, I'm turning it over and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to take out the drawer, make sure it's adhered really well. And I'm just going to take them all out. Just hit every single box. This way you know the top is adhered really well. For each one. And it looks pretty even actually. I'm just going to give that a chance to dry. So now we have all our slots for each of the little boxes in the bottom and the top. So let's just go to the top of the box. While that's drying a few minutes, you can see for this box I have a few layers, and the layers consist of crumb cake, and I guess I do need my ruler, but which is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and then the early espresso, and this should be 5 1/8 by 5 1/8. And I think it's off just a tad. Let me just see. 5 1/8. Yes, I gotta just, let me just trim this. Let me make sure. Yeah, let me just trim this a little bit so it's the right size. 5 1/4. Okay. Off by 1/8 of an inch. All right, we just took 1/8 of an inch off. So it's 5 1/8 by 5 1/8. Then the early espresso is 5 by 5. And then I grabbed a sheet of designer series paper. I don't know if my package is here, but this is the new neutrals that's coming out with the new catalog. The designs are really pretty. It's got these lines and dots, flowers that I did on this box, and then it also has some plaid. So it's really nice, new designer in designer series paper. That's in 6x6. And that one I cut at 4 7/8. So we're just, first, what I'm going to do is adhere the designer series paper to the early espresso. And I decided to use this design instead. And I'm just going to hit the edges a little bit, because you'll notice on the designer series paper, if you look really close at the edges, it does have, you can see a little bit of white. Where our cardstock does not do that, sometimes the designer series paper does. So we're just going to layer this down, and I'm probably off the camera, just making sure that it's centered. Okay. And then grab the top of the box, and this one we're actually going to glue down, so I have a minute to shift it if need be. And I'm doing it this way because I want to pop up that layer. Okay, now that we're working on the top, I'm just going to push the drawers back in while we're decorating this part of the box. This way it just makes it a little bit more sturdy, having a little bit more under there to hold it down, hold the top. And it is very sturdy. It's nice and heavy duty. Okay, so there we have that. And then we're just going to pop this layer up onto the top of the box. Oops. Add my dimensionals. Okay. And again, we're just going to make sure it's centered and lay that on the top of the box. Okay, so there is that piece. Now we're going to add just a decorative little strap with the different designer series paper in the same colors: early espresso, crumb cake, and it's 1 by 4 7/8, 7/8 by 4 7/8, and this one is 3/4. And we're just going to adhere these together. And that's the bottom. Use a bit of glue. So these are going to be flush on the ends because it is the same size as the designer series paper. And what we're going to do is just glue this right down onto the top of the box. Just making sure that it is. And to make sure, you can just hold it up and push down towards the table, and then you'll know that it's straight on the edge. And then we're just going to glue this down onto the top of the box. Line it up with the designer series paper making sure that it's just about in the center. Let me just move this up a little bit. And that looks good. Okay, so here's the top of your box. Now for the sides, as you can see, I decorated the sides of the box because it did look too plain. And I grabbed the crumb cake, and I'm using the same designer series paper, but I'm actually using the same as I used for the strip. And these little sections are 3 by 1 or 1 by 3. And we're again using the crumb cake, soft suede, I'm sorry. I'm just going to blend the edges just to give it a little bit of a decorative edge. And I'm going to do the same thing to the designer series paper, so it'll blend right to the back piece. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Stu. Alright, my iPad is running out of juice, so I'm going to lose my comments. Hold on one second. Let me go see if I can. I'll get my plug. Hold on one second. Okay, got it. Crazy. Almost out of juice. So let me plug this in real quick. Don't mind my reach. My plug is in the back of my desk. I thought for sure I'd have enough juice to get me through. All right. Okay. So, back to our little box. So all I did was blend some color onto the edges of each piece. And we're just going to layer these together. And I designed it so there was more space on the top and the bottom. My hands are full of glue now. Than the sides. And we're just going to I'm just going to push this in a little bit. And we're going to glue these to this section. And when I lay it down, I'm going to try, I want to try to at least get it pretty even with the drawer. This way it looks pretty straight when you look at it compared to the drawer. And then we're going to do that, and I'm going to push that in again. Whoops. The little button. We're going to do this to every side. And I did the other 3 so you wouldn't have to watch me do it for each one. I'm just going to turn. And this is 3. Whoops. And 1 more. Just want to push that in. So adding this last piece, Okay, so now the sides of our little box is complete. So we can start working on the top. I'm just grabbing a wipe. I have so much glue on my fingers. Now, as many of you know, I have my Patreon class, and we color. I do coloring classes in stamping blends, in Copics, and in pencils. And we started coloring the little girl from Hey Girlfriend. And I did 4 of them. And you saw one of the cards I created. And here's one here on this box. And I believe this little girl was colored with blends. So I figured I would take her and cut her out, round her corners. And again, we're just going to distress the edges just like I did with the other pieces, making everything a little uniform. And not knowing what I wanted to put her on, I figured I would use something new from the catalog. And what I grabbed is the Elegant Tag Punch. This punch is so pretty. Let me get a piece of paper so I can just show you how pretty this is. Get something that you can actually see. And it really does create a beautiful tag. So elegant. And it actually goes with this new stamp set called Elegantly Said. And it is it's the perfect size for each of the sentiments. But unfortunately, this little tag is not long enough for my girl. So I grabbed the Early Espresso and cut it. I knew I needed at just about 1 3/4 by 5. And what's great about these punches are, if you feed this in very carefully, and there's a piece in there, I believe. Yes, there is. There we go. If you take your cardstock and you feed it into the little slot, making sure it's even. I'm going to just make sure it's even on each side and pushed in enough. Make sure it's straight. And punch. Here's the bottom of your tag. Now, if we put the little girl here, I just want to make sure I leave enough room, and we're going to do the same exact thing very carefully. And actually, that's perfect. Feed it in the same way. Make sure that it's nice and straight and even. Whoops, I just knocked it. Okay. Did it again. And punch. You now have a nice long tag. So this is going to be a great punch to use for a lot of... Oh, am I out of frame? I'm sorry. So you can use this and create your tag as long or as short as you like, which is great. So I love, 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 love. You know what I'm doing? I'm looking at the wrong screen, Peggy, and I'm very sorry. Okay, so now that I created a longer tag, It will fit this little girl perfectly. And we're just going to adhere her to this tag, making sure she's on here straight. There we go. I'm just going to grab some, let's grab some pink. I forgot to do her lips. Just going to add a little bit of pink to her lips. And then there is our girl for the top. Now I used Forever Fern, the dies from the Forever Fern set, to cut out some sprigs. And I did two of each. Oh. Now for the rose, it's a rose that I've had. Same thing with this little bud. I have so many flowers from being on other design teams. So I figured I'd add them. I know they're not stamping up, but if you place an order, you'll get the flowers too. And then I used the metallic edged ribbon. Now ladies, this ribbon is leaving us. It will not be available in the new catalog. There are beautiful ribbons coming along. Oh, am I off again? Okay, hold on. That's because my camera's off. How's that? I'm off kilter today. So this ribbon is retiring, but I did use it for this project using the dark soft suede. I'm just going to color up this ribbon so it'll dry while we're decorating the front. It's nice coloring with the blends. It makes the ribbon pretty stiff and easy to actually create a ribbon. Okay, so we're going to go back to the top of our box, and we're just going to adhere the elements from the Forever Fern. And I just used the corner as my guide because when we lay her down, it'll hide the end. Same thing with this one. Just going to add a little bit of glue around. And again, use the corner as my guide to glue that down. Now this one we're just going, I added this leaf just for a little bit of variation. And I'm going to just tilt it off to one side. Make sure it's glued. Same thing with the bottom. Let's go this way. Just like that. And then we're going to pop our girl right up onto the top of the box. Thanks, Kathy. I could do an unboxing of the new products. Actually, maybe I'll do that. I'll do that tomorrow, Peggy, because I did get a few different things that are awesome. So I'll do that tomorrow. You'll get a chance to see the in colors. I mean, you've seen them, I'm sure, but seeing them on frame is just a little different. So I'll pop in tomorrow with some products because they're beautiful. Thankfully, you'll be happy. Thanks, Peggy. You'll be happy to know that a lot of products are carrying over. Even though the list of supplies or the end of the year list was so long, there are a lot of products being carried over. And the reason why so many stamp sets were on that list, I'll show you. Let me grab this. Yeah, I'll do this one. What they're doing now is putting the image, just like the cover, of the stamps inside. So instead of having to stick your stamps back on these little sheets, you can stick them right here to the inside of the stamp box. So many of the stamp sets that were on that retiring list are coming back, but they're coming back with new numbers and new cases. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, so we're just going to, like I said, it's not stamping up, but I wanted to add a few flowers. Let me just move this over here a little bit. And then I'm just going to pull this rose down. Just going to add a little bit of glue. And I just want to tuck this under. Grab that spot. And then I have little sprigs of, I guess they're like lilies. No, they're not lilies. Little bells. Just to add a little bit more color. Because this side looks so empty. So just add that like that. And then I'm using the gold glitter enamel dots. And I believe these may be carrying over. And I'm going to just grab the largest of them to put in, oops, the two corners. And then I wanted to decorate this piece right here. So I use, whoops, a medium, and then a small. Just move that over. There we go. And then there's a little teeny tiny one. And we're just going to add that right there. Make sure it's straight. And there we go. Grab our ribbon. And we're just going to make a quick bow to finish up our box. Okay. Oh, always gets stuck on my finger. And let me just grab a glue dot. Right here. I'm going to add it right under her feet. Before I cut the tail, I'm just going to add it right there. Adjust it so it fits. And there we go. Get all this junk out of the way. So here's the 2 boxes. Again, has the 4 little drawers. So I hope you liked today's project. Oh, I hear you, Peggy. And honestly, the products in the new catalog, the prices don't seem to be as much, believe it or not. What I spent on products for last release compared to this release is completely different. So I will jump on though tomorrow just to give everybody a sneak peek of the new products. And here's the project for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a great fun project, and it would actually make a great gift. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I'll see you tomorrow, probably around noon. I want to get that PDF out before I jump on with new product. So have a great night. Thank you all for joining me tonight, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.